This video is my own thoughts. All media has been found on the public domain and as fair use and fair dealing guidelines. Together with my opinions, which are not necessarily true, I urge everybody to do their own research. Good morning. It is Saturday the 17th of August. It's early here in the UK. Thought I'd get a little bit of a head start on the weekend. So today I'm going to be discussing whether or not the media have turned even more against Harry and Meghan. I mean, they've had it quite hard over the past year, but in the past month or so, especially the UK press have really gone in on them. You know, we're not shocked that the media are gunning for them. Let's face it, just over a year of marriage, things are now getting so bad that everything these two do is being picked apart and used against them. Words are being twisted and circled back onto other sound bites and things that either the two of them have said. But is the media being fair? I think it's my opinion that if this couple was consistent with their beliefs and stayed close to how royals should behave or supposed to behave, there wouldn't be a problem. A lot of people are now saying people making personal statements about climate change should be conscious of their own carbon footprint. This can be interpreted as the wealthy continuing to live how they want while dictating to ordinary people that they have to change themselves as well. Practice what you preach or stop preaching. It's really very simple. However, when they then act out, go back on what they've said, use their privilege to criticise and tell the public how they should live their lives, people will start to react negatively. And then there comes the press on the back of that. It almost feeds off each other. The press are only saying what the British public feel. And yet again, I'm bringing up the hypocrisy of them. I seem to be mentioning this so many times in my videos. I'm getting bored of myself, to be perfectly honest. So this week, news has broke that they flew to Ibiza for 5 or 6 days on a private jet for her birthday. This comes off the back of telling us that she was going to Balmoral and the Queen was giving her a big party, and then they weren't going to Balmoral, they were going to have a little quiet time at Frogmore. I don't know what to believe anymore. Who is actually feeding these silly little lies to the press? What's happening is that people are starting to get really, really confused, and that leads to more and more negativity. So whoever is actually feeding this information to the press, please stop it. One thing we do know is that they did go to Ibiza and they did actually hire a private jet. Hang on a minute. Didn't Harry say we all need to do our part to prevent climate change? This comes on the back of him trotting off to the Google Climate Summit, where all of the world's finest brains sorry, I do amuse myself sometimes, got together after all flying in on their own private jets and discussed how that we can all make a difference, where Harry gave a barefoot speech about saving the planet while the A-list elite sipped their champers while patting themselves on the back for a job well done. Allegedly, it was a summit to discuss climate change. But did they really? Has anything come out in the media about what actually was discussed, or the aim of it, or whether or not anything came out of it that has been decided on what they're going to do? How are they going to change the planet? I don't think so. I think it was a massive piss up. Speaking at the Australian Geographic Awards in Sydney, Harry said the world must now act urgently to stop the clock on the destruction of the planet. And now, once again, Piers Morgan has criticised Meghan and Harry after they took this private jet to Ibiza, despite Harry warning of the terrifying effects of climate change. Sharing an article about their trip, Piers wrote, saving the planet one private jet at a time. And a lot of people are in agreement with Piers, dubbing the eco-warrior couple hypocrites following their holiday. If you're going to take a private jet, fine, but then don't preach about climate change. And on top of that, Buckingham Palace are now refusing to comment and confirm whether the private trip was paid for by the public. But the fact still remains that even if it was a private trip that they paid for, we, the British public, would still have to stump up the cash for their security. There's no disputing that. We pay for all of their security. End of. I'm dumbfounded as to why Buckingham Palace won't confirm whether or not it was paid for by us. My only conclusion is that they know that the cost would have been paid for by the British public and are trying to squash the story because of the massive backlash these two are facing all the time. If there's a cost to the taxpayer, we have a right to know, surely. Which then leads me to question, if they took this private holiday paid for by themselves, why should we, the taxpayer, pay for their security while they're on holiday? If they can pay for the private jet and the holiday, why can't they stump up the cash for their security? But then some people are hitting out saying they can't do anything right. And I'd like to point out one thing. The jet created 7 times more CO2 per person than any one of the 9 daily scheduled flights to Ibiza. How can they justify that? Yes, they're part of the very privileged elite and have the available finances to be able to dash anywhere on private jets, but because of how Harry has been bleating on about climate change, should they? If you keep doing this, the negativity will only get worse. Public opinion seems to be that he tried to shame normal people about flying away for their annual holiday, one they have saved hard for and worked their arses off. Yet he seems to be able to flippantly go here, there, and everywhere. Why should he judge us for what we work hard for? Yet he seems to be doing without a care in the world. And then you get people who are saying, what gives Harry the right to lecture us on climate change? He's not exactly an educated man, getting just a B in art and a D in geography at A-level, and one of those was very suspect. Is Harry just spouting things because others have told him that is what he should be saying? Who do you think that might be? What makes him think that he's educated enough to speak on something that he doesn't do himself? Do you think the backlash is justified, or is it a case of they can't do anything right for doing wrong? A lot of people are now saying that he can no longer preach about environmental issues again, as he just doesn't do as he says. I think they have a right to that voice, because if he gets up on a podium again and starts lecturing everybody about what they must do, he's going to get heckled. There's no doubt about it. It's going to happen. I find it funny how before Meghan came on the scene, Harry was constantly in the press being pictured flying economy with the public. Now, with her at his side, it's all private plane while preaching about the environment. Please let me stress, I'm not being mean and suggesting that they don't deserve a holiday, but they do need to be mindful of doing the exact opposite of what they bang on about. I believe what's happened now is that they've pissed off so many people, the entire British public, to such an extent, each news story just winds us up even more. They are both a waste of time and money and should stop flaunting themselves and their wealth that we partly pay for. Seriously, can this get any worse for them? If they keep continuing to do what they're doing, yes it can. The press have certainly turned, but can you blame them? There's always been a good balance between the press and the royal family. It's worked well, but by shutting out the media and demanding privacy and then being constantly bombarded with endless Instagram posts It's counterproductive. You're basically saying, the press, you can't have anything to do with this. Get away, move on. Oh, but look at our shiny Instagram page. Look what we're doing. We're in control. It doesn't work like that as royals. I believe that there's now a tussle going on between their desire to control the media, access to parts of their family life, such as Archie's christening and their public roles as part of the taxpayer-funded royal family, that has fueled most of the criticism. It pains me to say this because I'm royalist, but when Queen Elizabeth's reign comes to an end, it would be the right time for the nation to decide whether we want to carry on with the monarchy as it is. Maybe they need to cut down the branches a little bit and cut loose the ones that seem to think that by being a royal, it entitles them to not only spend money like it's water without a care in the world, and continue to think that because they're privileged, they see fit to lecture and shame us on how we should think, spend, and raise a family. What gives them the right to even judge one single thing about us? What makes Harry and Meghan so educated to be able to sit high on that pedestal and look down with distaste at us, the ones that pay for that huge bloody mansion? So my question to you all, whether you're British or not, what should the British people do? We're not ones to be outspoken, really. It's not the British way, but contempt is growing fast and the media have turned, that's for sure. And once they turned, unless you do a complete 180 and stop the nonsense, start listening and play by the rules, they will be rabid and it will continue. Will Harry and Meghan ever understand or even care what the public think, so long as their bank balance is growing and the elite A-listers keep fawning over them? What should we, the British people, do to show how saddened and angry we are? Let me know what you think, because apart from moaning on Twitter, there's not really much else that we can do as a nation. If you've liked this video, please hit the like button, and if you really liked it, hit the subscribe button. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed the video, and I will see you very shortly. Bye bye.